and their mental health, and we need to learn more as quickly as possible. So I wanted to start with Dr. Torres. Your testimony calls for high-quality research on this subject, and what information or data do researchers need to do that work, if you will?
Thank you for the question. I think if we look back at, again, the impact that social media has had on the population, we know that the one thing that researchers and regulators never had was full access to the data. We never had transparency of the data. I like to imagine it, we're trying to understand what's happening through looking at shadows and patterns of shadows. If we can have full access to the data in context understanding, I think that we can make progress rapidly in making it safer and better. I think given that these are probabilistic models, at the core, we can never guarantee safety. But what we can also do to make them safer is we can create benchmarks. We can create assessments that are in the public domain that anyone can run a chatbot by and understand how safe may it be today, how safe is it tomorrow. So we can create standards that help companies compete at a higher level. Because right now, when there's not even a basic standard or benchmark for safety, no one is going to be held accountable. So it would be very easy for a body like this to mandate the NIH or the FDA work on some basic standards they put out there, and then we'll make the companies compete on safety because of transparency.
You mentioned NIH, but we've also already seen dramatic cuts to NIH funding for research across the board. So have funding cuts made it more difficult to study the effects of AI chatbots and to attract and retain researchers?
Yes, I've personally seen colleagues who are not interested in careers in public service or research recently, and I think it's desperately important that we fund the NIH, especially the NIH and other branches doing this work, so that, again, industry can benefit from this research, public can benefit from the trust. I think that investing in NIH is going to be a win for everyone in the space.
Well, thank you. I wanted to ask Dr. King about some privacy concerns for users of chatbots, some of which are still emerging as chatbots become more ingrained. So, Dr. King, in addition to comprehensive data privacy legislation, are there additional steps that Congress should consider to address privacy risks from chatbots, if you will?
Yes. In addition to providing the American public with data rights, as I mentioned earlier in my testimony, having more transparency into the entire chain of data that's used for development, I think is also necessary and is a bit external to just the core data privacy rights discussion that we typically have.
And you heard me maybe mention in my opening remarks that states have led on efforts to protect Americans' data and are leading early efforts to regulate AI development and use, and why I'm so concerned about Republican efforts to prevent states from doing that. So what steps should Congress be taking to enhance states' efforts to protect American privacy and regulate AI chatbots, if you will?
Well, again, specifically, this committee has advanced 2 bills in the past, and we certainly would like, I think, speaking as a researcher in the space, to see Congress adopt privacy legislation. As a Californian, I do have to note that we would love to see legislation that does not preempt what we've done in California. But even so, if you look at what we've done in California, there are still loopholes, again, around the entire cycle of data that we use to develop AI. So again, simply having rights to access, to delete, limits on collection, data minimization, all those things help. But we also need to have a broader sense of kind of what goes into these models, even outside of the personal data disclosure process.
And obviously, you wouldn't want Congress to limit states' efforts. No. Okay. Well, I just thank you. Well, I mean, we urgently need high-quality research on chatbots and greater oversight so Congress can develop appropriate guardrails. And I think today's hearing, Mr. Chairman, is a step in the right direction. I hope we can continue working in a bipartisan way to address risks while encouraging innovation at the same time. So thank you. I yield back.
The gentleman